My name is Anthony Barroso, and for my psychological skills training, I will be discussing and going over a method entitled catch and release. When we look at the entirety of a season in any sport, we often are able to look at the physical preparation and execution throughout this entire period of time. These physical demands are very challenging for any athlete to not only prepare for, but to overcome as well. But what is just as challenging is the mental preparation and execution that athletes must endure as well. From preseason to workouts and the games themselves, keeping an eye on the prize can be just as exhausting as the games you're playing day in and day out. Through my PST, I will break down tools that athletes can use to establish their goals and refine them to a concrete summary, and then allow themselves to relax throughout the rigors of a season while only keeping that summary in focus. In essence, they'll be able to catch the overall goal and its details in the preseason and release them in the day-to-day stresses of the goal throughout the season. Let's first look at the word catch. The word catch is synonymous with the framework of sports. In almost every sport that involves a ball, athletes must catch this object to successfully execute the next form of play. But within this lens, we need to redefine catch to encompass the steps an athlete must take to establish a sound foundation before beginning a competitive season. These steps include subjects like goal setting, imagery, and self-confidence. Let's start with goal setting. Goal setting can be broken down into three general categories. Process goals, which are the aspects a competitor should be concentrating on when carrying out a specific skill. Performance goals, helping an athlete make improvements over a period of time. And outcome goals, specific results going on within competition. Now, all three areas of goal setting, as noted here, are very important. But the biggest importance of goal setting, no matter which process you're in, is to be able to establish a framework and a foundation to be able to reference throughout your entire training and execution process. When we have clear, defined goals, we are one step closer to achieving ultimate success. Imagery is best summarized as the building of a mental toolbox. What I mean by this is that utilizing imagery allows us to not only reference key improving moments throughout the training process that we were successful, but also to visualize potential new successes going forward, not only through training, but in the actual execution of play as well. Self-confidence is just as important within this framework as well. Self-confidence is a belief that you can successfully perform a desired behavior. Now, within a lot of team sports, it's important to have confidence within your fellow teammates that if for any reason you may be dropping the ball, your teammates could pick you back up and help you get to that area of success. But it is also equally important to have a great amount of self-confidence in yourself and in your abilities. And throughout this training process, if you're able to execute your goals properly and have clear imagery as to what you want out of your future, that self-confidence is only reassured. By utilizing these three different tools within mental preparation and sticking to our individual plans, athletes should be able to reduce the risk of issues like performance anxiety. One of the biggest issues in performance anxiety is that there is so much built up throughout this preparation process, and we keep that with us, almost burdening ourselves mentally. But that's where the second part of this evaluation comes through. Let's look at the word release. When you think of the best quarterbacks of all time, some of their greatest attributes are related to their speed and accuracy. But just as important to those is their release, how quickly and effectively they can get the ball out of their hands and to the intended target. Like masters of meditation center themselves to a mantra, being able to release in this aspect is to be able to focus all of the preparation that we've done into a small package so as to not overcrowd our minds once the action begins. Two concepts that we'll be going over within the release section that will help us in this area will be motivation and concentration. Motivation is defined as the direction and intensity of one's efforts. Now, while there are many areas and theories within motivation, two areas that I believe that are critical for this concept of release are achievement motivation and competitiveness. Achievement motivation is defined as a person's efforts to achieve excellence, to overcome obstacles, and to perform better than others. It's that constant setting of our own goals to be better for not only ourselves and the situation at hand, but others as well. Competitiveness, oftentimes for us, is that drive to beat others. And that's ultimately what it is defined as well. It's a strive for excellence when it is evaluated amongst others. It's not only one thing to have mastered all the mechanics within a certain sport, but once we've mastered those skills, we want to be able to test them amongst others. And that's what drives our competitiveness, not only to succeed within the sport, but to succeed amongst others as well. Motivation has many effects on athletes, but I think the four biggest effects that they have, that motivation has on athletes, are as follows. One, it increases the effort to pursue new goals. We're constantly creating goals for ourselves, and when we are highly motivated, we want to continue to achieve new goals. Secondly, it increases the degree of intensity in which we achieve our goals. Not only do we want to achieve these new goals, but we want to do them in a faster and greater capacity. It also increases our desire to seek out opponents that are equal to our skills or have greater abilities than our own. In increasing our skills and achieving new goals, we want to be able to test ourselves amongst the best. As it says, iron forges iron. And finally, it increases our persistence in the face of adversity and failure. When we're able to have all these experiences and assurances to fall back on, it allows us to persist and persevere whenever we encounter that inevitable failure or challenge. The next area is concentration. Concentration can be broken down into four summaries. Concentration allows us to focus on relevant cues in the environment that we're performing in. It allows us to maintain attentional focus over time, over long periods of time. It allows us to have awareness of every situation and the errors that we might have within our performance. And it allows us to shift our focus in different areas within our performance when necessary. Now, there are many great examples within so many different aspects of sport of top-tier athletes that have optimal concentration. But I think one of the greatest examples that we could reference is Michael Johnson, the Olympic gold medalist and former world record holder within the 100 meters. He had this to say about his outlook on concentration during competition. Quote, "I have learned to cut out all unnecessary thoughts when I'm on the track. I simply concentrate. The crowd fades away and other athletes disappear. And now it's just me and this one lane." Ultimately, this is the greatest representation of release within this breakdown, within the skills training. Because Michael Johnson is able to obviously have optimal training and preparation. He has set his goals to get to the highest stage. He has used his previous experiences to set the perfect imagery for this moment. He's highly motivated to go against his competitors, and when it matters most, he's able to optimally concentrate, reduce all the noise surrounding him, and simply perform. And that is why he was one of the greatest track stars in American and world history, not only for his physical attributes, but for his mental as well. When we look over in reference to all of the areas that we've discussed in this presentation, we just want to do a quick summary of these areas. We want to remember that goals provide us the direction to help us stay motivated and to allow us to accomplish feats that we may not have believed were possible. Through imagery, we can recreate positive experiences through training or picture new events to prepare ourselves mentally for optimal performance. When we feel confident, our minds are free to focus on the task at hand, and we're more likely to remain calm and relaxed when facing adversity and pressure. The direction and effort in motivation refers to whether we as individuals seek out, approach, or attract certain situations. The intensity of effort refers to how much effort we as individuals put forth within any given particular situation, how motivated we are to continue to move forward in any situation. And with concentration, when the environment changes rapidly, obviously our attention focus will change rapidly as well. When we're able to think of past or the future, it might raise unnecessary cues that often lead to performance errors, and it is crucial that we maintain high levels of concentration to avoid those errors. In summary, athletes must constantly develop plans for competition, performance, and the inevitable disruptions that we face on the field. But through utilizing catch and release methodology, athletes could possibly overcome adversity and performance blockers by honing in on the plans that they develop during this training time. Once the goals have been established, imagery is employed to visualize success, and confidence has been secured, athletes can truly develop and embrace their motivation for competition and concentrate on the task at hand with no further worries or distractions. This has been a psychological skills training on catch and release. My name is Anthony Barroso. Thank you.